Hi Stampers, it's Linda Schmitt with Stampin' with the Hounds. I have a couple of techniques to share with you today. This is continuing on with my brayer technique series. So my previous one I had showed you where you inked up your brayer with like a metallic ink, and then you just did that on your folder and then ran your cardstock through, and then you had more of a where the inside of the flowers were inked with that metallic ink. This time around, we're going to be doing a similar thing, but now we're going to be adding embossing powder and embossing it. So you get an embossed, dry embossed, and then you also get your heat set embossing. And then on top of that, I'm throwing in what I am calling kind of like a peekaboo card, because you can still see through, because it's got that little window sheet. So, or kind of like a floating circle. I don't know quite what to call it, but I was kind of playing around with it. So this is one, we're going to be doing something similar to this one today. This is using the Painted Posies embossing folder, and then the beautiful Perennial Lavender designer series paper, as well as for the dies. What I did was a combination of the online only, you can get this Encircled in Nature bundle. So this is the stamp set, and then the dies have that really fun wreath that you can make. Plus it's got trees and leaves and branches and some flowers. But these are going to be the two wreaths that we're using, or branches, kind of like a twig frame basically, to do our opening on that. So using some of that new products today. And then I also threw in a little bit of the Delicate Forest, because I love these little branches and the little hill that you can make. It kind of looks like a lavender fields. So I used some of that a lot of times on the inside of the card. So that's from the Perennial Lavender on there. So really fun. You can, step it up by either, you can decorate the inside as well with some pattern paper, or you can just leave it blank. I'm going to show you, I think on the one I did today, that I'm demoing, I left it blank. I didn't do the pattern paper, but that's one of them. And then this is another one that I did with that Perennial Lavender. So again, it's that another little, and this one, instead of embossing, I actually, I did a gold metallic ink, and then I did some of that Pearl, what was it, like Pearl X? I can't remember. We sold it like bazillion years ago from Stampin' Up, but I just kind of brushed that powder over it. So it's not as shiny, but it still gives that kind of pretty glimmer to it. And again, now this one, you open it up, and then I did the opposite. I just kind of inked over the raised side on it. So it's kind of fun. And that's when I did as my little Easter card. And then one of my other ones, switching with, this is the layered florals. And this is my first one. So this one I did just your plain circle dies. So you can see a little bit more of that see-through card, basically, kind of like that peekaboo. So very important when you are doing these, you want to make sure that whatever greeting you put on the inside, that it's not going to show through on it. So just kind of be aware of that when you're doing it. So on this one, again, I didn't do any pattern paper. And then I've got that ribbon kind of suspended, so it just looks like that circle is just kind of floating. So really fun. And that one is, this is one of the techniques that I did in a previous video. So I'll put a link to that other video that I did in my brayer series. So that's another one. And then these I made up this morning, and these use that Ink Botanicals designer series paper that's in the annual catalog with it. So this is that kind of the Calypso Coral. It has a little bit of the petal pink. And then here I did some of the die cuts from the Encircled in Nature. And then again, that's that Painted Posies with it. So really pretty. So this one I did the gold. And then on here for the peekaboo, you can see I just have that greeting. And then this is what I did on the inside. So I just cut out another circle and layered it behind there, because you do need to have two circles because they're kind of sandwiched in between that ribbon with it. So there's that one. And then my final one that I have, again, this is using that Ink Botanicals. Is that what it is? I always forget. Yeah, Ink Botanicals designer series paper, and then that Painted Posies. And on this one I did, so I've got tons of embossing powder, and not all of it Stampin' Up, because I've gotten stuff from people, as gifts and stuff. So this was like a rose gold, and I did it against that petal pink cardstock. So I thought that one turned out kind of neat. So again, this one again is there's that little peekaboo, the see-through, and then I did the opposite where the raised side has the embossing on it. And then this one I kind of left blank. I'm not sure what I'm doing with it, but we're going to get started. So the supplies, so we're going to do a version of this one today. So the supplies you're going to need will be just your standard card, size A2, a quarter sheet of designer series paper. And again, if you want to decorate the inside, you'll want to get 2 of them. So these are just 4 by 5 1/4. And then the card, I like to have it open up the long way. So again, this is at 4 1/4 by 11, and then I just scored it in half at 5 1/2 so that it opens up portrait style. And this is using Starry Sky, which this color will be retiring because this was one of the in colors that was from 22-24. So we get new colors every 2 years, and so come May this will be retiring. And I love this color, it's so pretty. So if you don't have this color, I would say you've got to get it. Love Starry Sky on it. So we're gonna do Starry Sky. And then this again was at 4 by 5 1/4. And then you will need either neutral or a lighter color, just for your inside of your card. So again, that's 4 by 5 1/4. And this one I'm doing fresh freesia. And then again, if you wanted to have that designer series paper, that's 4 by 5 1/4 as well. But I'm just going to leave it as cardstock on that. And then whatever you want for, your little embellishments. I've already kind of pre-cut stuff from the Encircled in Nature and then Delicate Forest. I've already die cut some things. And I've got some things from the metal flowers. And then you will need, this is going to show up. You will need a window sheet. And this is for the opening that I'm doing on these wreaths. I cut this to be 3 7/8 by 3 7/8 square on it. So that's just your window sheet. And then, like I said, when we go to cut this, you are cutting using the larger. So there's 2 of these here. Okay. And when you go to cut these, you notice these little tabs. You want to make sure that those tabs are lined up together, because that's what helps, especially if you're using the stamp that has that branch, those line up where that opening is. That's where you put these tabs so that then you're cutting out. Of course, this is not true to size here. That's what helps you line up if you do the stamping. But this also helps with the die cutting too. So just kind of, I've always been kind of keeping that so that it's pointing to my corner here. So you're going to need the larger one to make your window, and then you'll cut out, so you'll get a circle, and then I just cut that down again. So I'll show you when we get to it. But I've already got some extra ones because as I've been doing this, I get lots of circles left over. So you will have some more circles that you can do another card with. So this one I've already kind of decorated. This is what I'm going to be doing on the inside. So I'm just going to set that aside for now. And then I just have an extra one in case I mess up. So we are going to I'm going to show you my little tips on when I go to die cut this. Let me make a little bit of room on my desk here so that I can. And then of course you're going to need a 3D embossing folder and embossing powder and a pigment ink of some sort. I'm using Versamark today. All right, so we're first going to get some of this out of the way here. We want to make our window. So this is my front of my card. I'm going to just temporarily use some low tack tape just to hold this in place, because we're going to die cut both the pattern paper and the cardstock at the same time. So I'm just putting a little bit, I'm not pressing really too hard, just to kind of keep this held in place. And then you're going to take the larger circle Let me move this down a little bit. Okay, so we're going to keep that so it's centered. This is kind of pointing off into the corner so that I remember how I have it. And then we're going to do the die cutting first. Let me come out a little bit here. So I'm going to feed this through. And then just making sure I'm centered. If you want to do a little bit of tape just to hold your die in place, you can do that too. So I'm just going to hold that. And then what I've been doing is I only put the cutting plate right up to my score line, just so that I don't muck up. You know, sometimes if your cutting plate's got, you know, cuts and stuff in it, that kind of texture transfers. So I just keep the edge of my cutting plate on that score line so that it's not messing up my cardstock. And then since you're going through 2 layers, you may need to go through, especially if you're doing 2 layers of cardstock, you will need to pass through a couple of times. Okay, so now let's carefully peel this off. So now you have this piece, which if you wanted to at this point, you could go through and cut this one out and use it for your inside. But I chose a different pattern, so I'm just keeping this. I'll use this for another card. And then, like I said, you will get your 1 circle. So this one now, we need to make this smaller so that we can do our floating circle. So the piece that just came out from your card, you're going to cut this one again. So I'm going to get this one out of the way. So this is where I should have paid attention how I had this in here. Hold on here. Because you want to make sure. Oh my goodness, it's like, nope. There we go. Okay, so there's my top. All right, so then my corner here would have been like right about there. Okay, so I'm just going to move these out of the way. Okay, so now I know. Now, if you were just doing, you know, your regular circles, you don't have to worry about that part of it. But now I want to make this piece a little bit smaller so that it can be my floating circle. So we're going to use, like I said, that's the smaller of the wreaths. Oh, let's knock my water glass over. So then this is how you get that wreath, the branch, which is kind of cool. So again, you can use this on other cards too. So you get lots of pieces that you can use for other projects. Okay, so that's it for that part of the die cutting. So now we're going to take this piece and we want to do our dry embossing. This is where you're going to need your embossing folder. And then I need to first ink it up. So I need to get this out of the way. Grab our folder. And I don't want to lose my window sheet. And I like to use my silicone mat from Stampin' Up just to help grip the folder. Okay, so now on this technique, we want to work on the side of the folder that is flat, because I want all of this to be inked up, because that's what the embossing powder, so we want that background to be the raised part of it. So on the Stampin' Up! Embossing folders, this logo, that's the side you want to ink up. And then, so we'll ink up this side. And then I like to kind of look at where my images are. You know, I try and, you know, because I'm like, okay, I got a little bit of room there. So for now, I'm just putting this here just so that it doesn't move on me. And we're going to ink this side up. So we're going to grab our brayer, and like I said, I'm using Versamark. I'm going to grab my little ink pad stand. And again, because when you're doing the brayer, I always like to have, if this is the Stampin' Up, of course we've got the glass mat, and then this is the little, I don't know what you want to call it, ink pad tray that kind of grips it. So if you don't have that, use another one of these silicone mats. Like I said, these are like $6 or something. I mean, they're super cheap. I have several of them. So, but again, I like to have that here just so it's gripping my folder, and then this way my ink pad isn't going to be moving around. And then if you got like a silicone mat for your craft station, that works just as well. All right, so we're going to ink up our brayer. So again, the Stampin' Up! Brayers, this one isn't one, but it's similar in style. So the feet you want to make sure are up when you go to ink, and with the brayer you want to make sure the entire brayer is getting inked up. So you're going to roll away, 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 and of course this is clear ink, so it's kind of hard, but see how shiny that is? So now it's getting inked up. And again, we're on that flat side, and knowing that my image, you know, is here, I only need to ink up just part of this. Move this up a little bit. Okay, so we're just going to focus on, and again, this is clear ink, so it's kind of hard for you to see on the camera, but I can see it from this angle that I'm getting that back side, you know, the smooth part, not really the flowers are getting inked up. It's more of the flat background. Okay, so once that's all inked up, and then when you're done, flip it over so that the feet are down, and that way it's not resting, the ink roller isn't resting on your workstation. Okay, and then I'm going to close this, and then we're going to run this through the machine again. Oops, sorry, going the wrong way. And for this, so like I said, it's a 3D embossing folder. So on my machine, I just need the platform. I've got my folder. I'm going to run it through so the spine is going in first. And then I've got my adapter plate that I put on top. And with this technique, I have found like just one pass, you can go back to. It does pretty well for being inked up. So you shouldn't have to re-ink and go through it again. So making sure you're holding on to this. I'm just trying to get this out of the way. A little bit of room. All right, and then we need some embossing powder, our tray, and what else am I? Oh, my heat tool's over there. Okay. All right, so let's open this up and see how it looks like. So now see how it's a little bit darker and it's all shiny, so that is good to go. So I'm going to throw that in my tray. And then I am using, I don't know where this came from, it's so old, but it's like a blue satin, it's like a pearl embossing powder. I have no idea where I got it. But anyway, I thought it looked really cool. But it kind of looks like it's clear, but then when you go to emboss it, it does have that little bit of iridescent blue sheen to it. But again, you can use silver, you can use gold, whatever color. I mean, most of you have tons of embossing powder, so just experiment. Just grab some, you know, some of your cardstock scraps and just kind of see what looks good embossed with your folders. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So I've got a little bit here. I kind of want that to be, because I think that's part of that flower that maybe it inked up. So I'm going to take a Versamarker and I'm just going to add just a little bit of ink right here because I want to fill that in. You could also just take your Versamark pad and do the same thing. But I just want a little bit of that powder on there. Okay. And then having that on your silicone mat will help with the heat too, if you don't have a glass mat. And then I just need to close this up because I am notorious for spilling the embossing powder. Okay. All right, so now let's emboss. And with the folder, you know, you got that Versamark ink, just rinse this out underneath the sink and it's fine, or just with a damp cloth just to get that stickiness off of there. Okay, so let's do a real quick embossing and see the magic. Zoom in just a little bit. So now see, this one was grape, and then look how it turned blue. And then now this one I did starry sky. Now this one's definitely more blue all around. So I think what I'm going to do is once this cools, just so that those flowers pop a little bit, I'm going to brayer over that with a white craft pad just to pop that color a little bit more. So let me clean this really quick. Oh, I can just use this other one. This is why I have multiple brayers. I thought I don't have to waste time cleaning. All right, so I'm just going to take my white craft pad. Okay, move this over so you can see. All right, so now we're going to take the white craft. Now this, you want to be a little careful. You don't want to go too heavy-handed, because now what we're going to do is we're going to brayer over, and now this raised cardstock is what the white craft ink is going to stick to. So I'm just really lightly going over, just kind of going in different directions. And I'm just barely touching it. Okay, that helps. That kind of pops that out a little bit more. So now you can kind of see them. And then with this, since it's already embossed, you can then just take a damp cloth and just remove that white craft ink. Perfect. All right, so we'll set that aside. Okay, and then I'm going to just give that a real quick shot just because I want that craft ink to be dry. So we're just going to real quick dry or emboss this. Pretty. Oh, I love it. Cool. All right, so now let's go ahead and make that window part of Okay. So let's, sorry, I'm trying to get this so you can see everything. Okay, so now we want our card. We want our window sheet and then our pattern paper. So what I like to do is take, so this is the front that I want. I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to adhere my window sheet to the back side of it. So I'm just going to use a little bit of tape just to kind of go around. Yeah, you want to, I did do sometimes with liquid glue around here, but you got to be really, really careful, because if your liquid glue smushes and goes out, it gets on that window sheet and it's like, ugh, it's a hot mess to try and get it off. And well, it doesn't really work, because I learned this morning. I goofed up and oh my gosh, I wound up just throwing the window sheet away, because no matter what I used, it was still going to be a goopy mess. Okay, so we just want to make sure our window sheet is right around there. So now we've got, that's our back side. So you got the window sheet adhered, and then we'll flip it over. And now you want to grab your ribbon. And I'm going to grab the ribbon. This is where I kind of guesstimate like how much I need for my, let's hold that down. Probably don't need that much on this end. So then I fold this over. So the one ribbon is underneath my card, and then this one is wrapped around. And I just want to make sure I've got enough when I go to grab this, yeah, to tie. That's plenty. Okay, so I just go ahead and trim this off. And this is just some retired, you know, because you get ribbon, it like lasts forever. So this is some of that Highland Heather from a few years ago. But I'm using up what I have. Okay, and I just want to make sure this is coming up. This is where I kind of putz around just a little bit just to make sure I got enough to tie. Okay, and then what I like to do, just so that my ribbon isn't shifting on me, I'm going to put a little bit of tape on this left side just to hold this ribbon in place while I'm tying my bow. All right, so now, and again, if you don't want to tie a bow, you know, you can eliminate the ribbon, but I'm trying to use up my ribbon. I'm trying to find cards that use ribbon so that I use it up. And I'm with this perennial lavender. I did my April class, in-person class. They're doing the never-ending fold using that paper. So having 7 people make that card put a big dent in that pack of paper. So I only have a couple sheets left. Yay, using up paper. Okay, so once you're happy with that, you can go ahead and then just trim your tails. I probably should have cut not as much, but oh well. Okay. And then your circle will then be attached here. And this is where I just use dimensionals to pop this up. So I'm just going to flip this over. And we're just adhering dimensionals to the back side. Just do one kind of in the center of that ribbon. All right, and then very carefully, oops, I'm stuck to the dimensional. All right. I'm going to put this then right in the center. So now there, that's your back side. So now you can go ahead, and this is where it was important to have the pattern paper and the cardstock cut the same way so that you can line up your circles perfectly. So again, like if you weren't using a special die like this one, if you just did straight circles, you wouldn't have any issues. So, okay, I'm going to add a little bit of glue. Now again, with the, because there's this window sheet here. Look at me using the liquid glue. I'm not going to go really close. I'm just doing this on the edges, and then I'll come back with my tape dispenser. Because if I squish this, then that glue is going to ooze out everywhere. I should be a little okay, because then I like to put a little bit of tape right on that ribbon, and then we'll put a little bit up here, a little bit there, just to hold that. Just a little bit on that ribbon just to hold it in place. Okay, so this was, like I said, this was at the front of the card. And I just want to make sure I can see what I'm doing here. Okay. Trim this a little bit more. This one's a little long still. There we go. Okay, so now that's the front. So we've got our window. Now we're going to open this up, and on this back side, so this is where, you would need another piece cut. So again, you could do the embossing, do the embossing folder, like I did on these other samples. But I had so many of these pattern paper squares left over that I just decided to use this then as my focal thing. So on this one, I don't do dimensionals. I just do regular adhesive on the back of this one. You could do tear and tape. You just want like a nice strong adhesive because it is going against that plastic. And then, now because you're working from the back side, sometimes depending on how you had your, like especially with this one with the branches, so this isn't aligned, it's not mirroring it. But it's not going to poke out. You're not going to see it. So it still should be fine. All right. So now there is that. So again, if you wanted to do that pattern paper, you can go ahead and put that down. You would have cut that 3 layers then because you wouldn't have needed to get that lined up correctly. But I just left it to keep it simple. I just left it as is. Okay, so now our cardstock for the inside. This was the Fresh Freesia, and I had already cut my little lavender, or not lavender fields, but the Delicate Forest dies, which kind of look like lavender. And I'm going to just put a little bit of glue, maybe. On these tiny little leaves. So this is the Fresh Freesia, and then I'm doing Highland Heather for the die cut. So I already did that. I need to trim that just a little bit. Okay, and then this will go on the inside. I got a little bit of that white ink. I don't want to get that on my card. There we go. Go ahead and put this on the inside, and then we'll stamp our greeting, and then we'll do our embellishments. And I thought this was kind of fun doing a colored cardstock, so then you can see that fresh freesia from the front, which is kind of pretty on there. Okay, so now this is where I said you want to make sure your saying is going to fit so that you don't see it when you're stamping. So this is a saying, this is from the Encircled in Nature greeting. So it's may this year be incredible and filled with possibilities. So that fits perfectly inside that circle. And I'm going to use the Starry Sky ink pad. And because this is photopolymer, I want my foam mat underneath here just to give it a little bit of cushion. And then I just need to make sure I'm looking at this. So this is coming down. I go right about there. Perfect. Can't see it. Yay! Okay, close that up. And now let's do a little bit of decorating with the embellishments. So I had already kind of die cut. I had some glimmer paper. This is like that ombre glimmer paper we had, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but I just kind of die cut some of the little branches from the Encircled in Nature. And then I did from the Meadow Dies, the little butterflies on there. And then this is from the Delicate Forest. Oh, no, where did it go? Here it is. That's this die here. And then the saying, the Happy Birthday, is from another online only set, which I'll be doing a video on this set too, because this is really, really, really pretty. This is that Magnolia Mood, and then there's dies to go with it. So I'll be doing a future video on that one. But I think for this one, I think we'll just add a little bit of a butterfly in here just to get a little bit of color. I think I'll put that one up here. So like that. And then for our front, I had the Happy Birthday already stamped. So I did that in Starry Sky. And I was thinking I would just do some of these. So, and have that come out, and then we could still do a butterfly up here. Yeah, I think that'll work. That will work. And then I have gems, but where did I? Oh, here they are. Yeah, I've got lots of gems. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do yet on those. So many gems, so little. All right, so we're gonna glue these down first. Make sure all these are poked out. Yeah, so we have, oh, there's so many changes coming with Stampin' Up. And for you as a customer too, if you haven't done so already, you want to make sure that you create your own account on, through my Stampin' Up website, because I won't be able to access some of the stuff going forward, like credit cards and stuff like that anymore. And so you'll want to, and I won't be able to edit your address, so you want to make sure that you've got your account set up. It's just like, like any store, basically. Like, you've got your Amazon account, you've got a login and password. It's going to be the same thing. You can still shop through me and I will still get credit, but you just want to make sure that if you don't have your online account created, that you go ahead and do that. And then we've got the new catalog will be coming out in May. So that retirement list will be coming out soon. Oh my gosh, I'm probably gonna take a huge hit, as always. But oh well. I don't, well, you know me, I tend to still use a lot of my retired stuff, but I do get rid of some things, and I do need to get rid of some stuff, but I just haven't done it yet. Okay, and then this we will just, and I'm thinking I may just pop that up with a dimensional. Gotta use up my sheet here. That's what I love about our dimensionals. You can use up the entire sheet. No waste whatsoever. Okay. Take that. Make sure I'm straight. So I love having like a grid mat, because I am horrible at doing stuff straight. Okay, there's that. And then I think I will do that purple. And I think on him, that's already kind of high. It should, maybe I will use this glue. I'll use this tape, I mean, because that'll be, let's see here. Yeah. I don't want him falling off. So we'll kind of, so I don't have any tape on the top part of the wings because this is higher than, you know, the designer series paper, so it wouldn't really have stuck anyway. But I think I want going, maybe go that way. And then these are, I think I might do these just because they are flat. I know sometimes those bulkier gems, you want to be careful, like when you're mailing. I always have to do, I usually put like another piece of cardstock or something on top of it just to protect it. So maybe let's do, we have that one there. Actually, maybe I will move this one a little bit. Maybe I'll have it going that way. Because then I can do one here. And then a smaller one down here. All right, and then I think just to tie in, I don't know if this will work or not. We'll find out. I'm taking a gold gel pen. Oh yeah, it does, cool. Just to kind of tie in that gold. So I'm just gonna add my little butterfly body. Just to tie in the gold. And I don't think this will, oh, look at that, it does work. Haha. So grab your little gel pen. And it worked on it. All right. And I think that is it on this one. So super fun. 2 techniques for one. One video. Love that. All right. So thanks again for watching. Again, this was another series in my brayer technique. So I hope that you check out those other ones. Again, I'll try and remember to put a link at the bottom or in the description for those other tutorials that you can see on there. So thanks again for watching. Have a great and creative day. Bye-bye.